Jonathan Lee Riches Investigates. I am covering the Moscow, Idaho case. I titled this video, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, Friends or Foes? Friends or Foes? I am wondering if Dylan and Bethany are cool with one another right now. Are they friends? Were they ever friends to begin with? I'm assuming they were, because I do have photographs of them together taking pictures and hanging out. They posted their own pictures on social media accounts before both their accounts went private. I'm going to show you a few of their pictures of them together. So I'm assuming they were friends, but some people take pics with people they're not actually friends with. They just take pics with other people. But assuming they are friends at the time before the stabbings occurred, 4 college students brutally stabbed, November 13th. Dylan Mortensen, Bethany Funk, the surviving roommates. Now, I'm wondering if they're cool right now, because we haven't heard a peep from them. Both have been silent. I am just wondering, well, what Bethany thinks of Dylan, considering that there is a lot of online chatter and online rumor and speculation on Reddit threads and different forums saying that Bethany is ticked off because she was lied to by Dylan about what happened that day. Dylan told Bethany a different story that is totally different than what was in the affidavit of probable cause, where Dylan Mortensen saw Bryan Kohberger, or saw a man in a mask, bushy eyebrows, frozen, went inside, locked the door, or whatnot. Is Dylan cool with Bethany? Are they still BFFs? Were they ever BFFs? And I'm wondering, do you think if they're not, what's the reason? Do you think that this event maybe broken up their friendship, if they even had a friendship? Possible. What do you think Bethany thinks about Dylan, based off Bethany knowing now because of the affidavit of probable cause? Have they communicated with one another? That's what I'm wondering about. They're both going to have to eventually, down the line, most likely testify in this case. Are they talking to one another, strategizing what they're going to say or, do when the court case comes? That's what I'm wondering about this case. Dylan Mortensen is a mystery. Now, Dylan Mortensen gets a lot more scrutiny than Bethany when it comes to this case. Bethany, people talk about Bethany, but it's more centered towards Dylan than Bethany. Do you think Bethany will ever want to even be around Dylan Mortensen again? Even seen with her, knowing that people are more critical of Dylan than they are Bethany. Like, the cameras are going to be on Bethany, or on Dylan, more than Bethany. And Bethany hanging out with Dylan, would that be a bad, will Bethany think that's a bad reflection on Dylan? Now let's do vice versa. Does Dylan have a problem with Bethany? Maybe Dylan feeling, if they're not cool, maybe Dylan's feeling that Bethany abandoned her. Like, turned her back on her during these times where Dylan really needs her closest friends. I don't know how close they were. They both got into that house, the Moscow home, fairly recently. I know other people were talking about Dylan being a freshman, but I'm wondering if they are still cool or not? Or are they going to be beefing? Is one of them going to come out and talk about the other or talk about what transpired? We have limited information, but that I'm curious about that on a daily basis, if they're still cool. And if you're following the case, I think it's relevant. I think it's relevant because if Bethany has a problem with Dylan, what would that problem be and why? And it has anything to do with Dylan's behavior that early morning. Like, does Bethany maybe think that Dylan should have called authorities quicker and could have saved her friends inside the home? You understand? They're all a group of friends, but we haven't, like, there's no pictures of Dylan or Bethany together in support of one another during this tragedy, after this tragedy happened. Like, maybe hugging or showing solidarity with one another, saying, hey, we're sisters for life. Or are they just going to both of them go their separate ways? Are both of them even going to finish school at the University of Idaho, or are they going to transfer? As far as Dylan, I don't know if Dylan could even see. I'm assuming she's taking online courses now because journalists are out there in Moscow and no one has taken any photos of Dylan Mortensen at school or whatnot. I'm assuming she is taking online courses and eventually probably will transfer. She lives somewhere down by the Boise area originally. I can't see her continuing to go to that school full time. Maybe online courses for the remaining of the year and then transfer for sure, because her face. The thing about Dylan is, what I'm noticing over online is there's not a lot of Vandals, the mascot, Vandal at University of Idaho support for Dylan. I'm not seeing like the college students rallying behind her like she's a victim, even though she is a victim. But some people say, well, she's a survivor, not necessarily a victim. So I don't see the support for Bethany either, and Bethany is originally from Reno. Is she going to continue? Would they even want to go back to that school? Would they even want to go back to college? As far as staying on campus anywhere, or a sorority house, or a house. I mean, regardless of how you feel about Dylan or Bethany, they're both pretty traumatized, most likely. If I was in a home like that and I was in that situation, yeah, I would have called 911 instantly, but I'm not Bethany, or I'm not Dylan. But I would be rattled for life if I knew I was almost died and the people around me died from some stranger coming into the home. But there's people out there that think Dylan might have knew Brian. I haven't found any evidence of that. I'm just throwing it out there on video because it is talked about that. Did Dylan know Brian, or did Bethany know Brian? And then there's a lot of speculation online on why Dylan delayed to call the authorities. Like, why? And she didn't call authorities. I believe a neighbor called the authorities. I don't believe Dylan is the one that called 911. I believe she and Bethany are either or one of the two people that fainted that next day where the 911 call was, so someone else did. But, the delay of the call, people speculate, Dylan or Bethany had illegal narcotics and drugs or alcohol or stuff they shouldn't have had in that house, and they had to get rid of it. And I'm saying this because other people are saying it too. So don't think I'm just making things up, because I'm not saying it's true or not. I'm just saying what the online speculation, the tone of this case, the temperature of the Idaho 4. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of content you can decipher through and come up to your own conclusions. But I kind of study like how these people, like I want to know, I'm interested in seeing things like Dylan standing side by side with some of the victims' family members, because that gives me a general idea if they either support her or not, or Bethany side by side with Ethan Chapin's mom, Stacy, or Xana's dad, Jeffrey. Will Dylan be walking in and out of courthouse with Brian Kohlberger, or on Brian Kohlberger's case with Kaylee Gonzalez's family? The Gonzalez family. Will she be walking with them? Or being there at court, side by side. I wonder about those type of things. I look beyond look deeper into this case. And I'm sure a lot of you guys do that too. So that's the question. Do you think Dylan Mortensen or Bethany Funk are friends or foes? Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button. I want to know your thoughts. And I appreciate all of the comments on my videos about the Idaho 4. If you are new to my channel, thanks for subscribing. Or maybe you didn't subscribe yet, but subscribe. And then check out the playlist that I got. I got hundreds of videos out on this case. I was there. I do plan on going back to the area during future court proceedings and just check up on the area. I've actually made alliances with community members there in Moscow. They frequently text me, and I text back, and we just check in on them and stuff, and they let me know what's going on. And it's good. I built relationships with people out there, and hopefully I'll carry on these relationships for a long time. And I will be back in Moscow very, very soon. Stay tuned. Everyone be safe. Justice for the victims and their families.